Welcome to another episode of Her Head in Films. I'm Caitlin, and I'm your host. On this podcast, I share my thoughts and feelings about the films I watch. They tend to be art house and world cinema. What makes this podcast unique is that I weave together my life experiences with a personal and emotional discussion of film. I explore the impact that cinema has on me and why I connect so deeply to it. As I like to say, my head isn't in the clouds, my head is in films. In today's episode, I'm talking about Hayao Miyazaki's 1989 animated film, Kiki's Delivery Service. It follows Kiki, a 13-year-old witch who leaves home with her black cat Gigi to complete a year of training on her own. She arrives in a picturesque seaside city and starts a delivery service by broomstick, but soon faces the emotional and spiritual challenges of growing up. The film is a coming of age story about solitude, inspiration, and learning to believe in yourself. And it found me at a time when I've been trying to discover my own magic again. Because Studio Ghibli is so popular and so beloved, I have a feeling that this episode and the one I did about My Neighbor Totoro may get more downloads than I normally get. And there might be listeners who have never encountered me before and never listened to this podcast. I just want to be very upfront that this is a very personal podcast. It can be very emotional. And it's not just about film, it's also about me, my life, my subjectivity. And I've always blended those things together: my life, my experiences, and the films that I watch. That's the point of this podcast. And so I just wanted to make people aware of that. They may not be used to it. I get emotional. I'm more confessional and I talk about my life, my feelings, things that I'm going through. And that will definitely be in this episode. I'm going through a really intense time in my life. I'm going through a period that is very painful because my mother died a few months ago, and both of my parents have now passed away, and I'm in my mid 30s dealing with that. This episode will not be about that necessarily, but it's there in the background, and it does connect to certain things that I'm going to talk about in the episode. So I just want to make people aware, new listeners in particular, this is not like an entertaining podcast. It's not filled with banter, but it is a soulful and heartfelt exploration of cinema and of my connection to film. And I hope that people will be open to that, and I hope that they will find value in it. So, why did I choose to talk about Kiki's Delivery Service? Last year in 2024, I went through the entire Studio Ghibli catalog. I was in my 30s when I did this. I did not grow up with Studio Ghibli. I knew of it, but I did not grow up watching it the way that some people do. I grew up with other animated films, particularly the Disney films. And so I've been a cinephile for about 14 or 15 years now. And I thought it was time to explore Studio Ghibli. And I feel like it's better late than never. I'll talk about why I actually think I watched it at the perfect time. My mother was alive last year. I had been her caregiver for about 5.5 years before she passed away this year in 2025. She died of cancer, but I was taking care of her for disabilities that she had that were not related to her cancer. It Everything really started to fall apart in 2020, and my life just went into this really painful, difficult place. And it's one that you can't really understand unless you become a caregiver, unless you have to take care of another adult physically for years and years. It was brutal, and it was very agonizing to watch my mother suffer for so many years. It's isolating, it's lonely, I had to stop doing this podcast, which I started doing in 2016. And I'm just now trying to do episodes again after pretty much like a 4 or 5 year hiatus. I didn't know if I would ever do it again. At times, I didn't think that I would, but I'm trying to do episodes again. I did an episode about My Neighbor Totoro, and I decided that I wanted to go back to Kiki's Delivery Service at this time in my life. I had some hesitation because I felt like, well, I've already done a Studio Ghibli film. Is it kind of overkill to do another one? But I couldn't choose. I couldn't choose between Totoro and Kiki, and I wanted to talk about both of the films. My Neighbor Totoro episode is much more emotional. That film is about a family, and it really affected me because my parents are now gone, and I was very like emotional in that episode. Even though I'm going through an unimaginable period of grief and mourning, I don't want this podcast to become a place of like a lugubrious type of place or a morbid place where I'm talking about death and loss and pain all the time. And I'm very aware that sometimes I can fixate or focus on those things a lot. I don't mean to. I just happen to be kind of like a melancholy person. So, in choosing Kiki's Delivery Service, that is a way for me to decide that I want this space to be about more than what I have lost. I want it to be about more than just the suffering that I'm going through right now. I'm having a hard time some days because it's very painful and I'm alone for the most part. I am a lot like Ursula, and I'll talk more about her in the episode. I am on my own. I don't have a partner. I don't have children. I don't have close family. I'm a pretty solitary person for the most part, and I'm having to navigate life on my own now without my mother. And my father died when I was 16. So he died almost 20 years ago. I'm on my own now. I'm kind of like an orphan, and I've just been thrust into the world by myself. My mom was my entire life. I lived with her my whole life for 36 years almost. We were very close, and we got closer after my father passed away. I don't want this to be a sad place, you know? I don't want this to be a sad podcast. I want it to be life affirming. I want to talk about films that are not just about grief and loss. And so I'm being very careful with the films that I choose because I want to talk about life and passion, and I want to be somebody who's full of life, not full of sorrow all the time. And so Kiki reminds me of that. This is a very life affirming film, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Kiki feels like a more generative film. It opens up a door to possibility, creativity, and self renewal because it's about a young girl finding her magic. And she loses it for a little while, but she finds it again, and she finds it through her connections with women. And I found this film to be very nourishing right now. Of course, I'm struggling with depression. Of course, I'm crying. Of course, I am in total collapse at times. And I don't know who I am or what life is without my mother and without my father. The pain at times is on another level that I can't put into language. I'm trying to tell myself every day that I wake up that I have to be devoted to life. I have to go toward life. That's the only antidote. That's the only answer to this kind of soul shattering grief. Deborah Levy has a really great quote in one of her books. I think it's The Cost of Living. And she talks about her mother's death. And then she says that after her mother died, she wanted more life. That's what she felt, was that she wanted more life. And that has been echoing inside my brain for weeks now. That's what I'm trying to embody. That's what I'm trying to connect with. I want more life, more. I want more of everything, more life, more love, more connection, more beauty, more art. I want more of this life, not less. And I don't want to let go of this life. And so I have to go toward the things that fill me up and that nourish me. And I find Kiki to be a nourishing and regenerative film because of what is inside of it, which is all kinds of beautiful messages. And I'm going to talk about all that in this episode. But right now, I'm giving you the context for this episode and the context for what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to share in this episode. This film and this episode is a way for me to engage with something that is more life affirming, even though I'm in the midst of the darkest period of my life that I have known. And I don't know if I have the tools to get through it. I don't know what the tools would be. I don't know what life is anymore. And I feel like I'm just rebuilding from the ground up. And I guess I'm just rebuilding with ruins and stones. And I don't know what I'm doing. But I am recording this episode. I am waking up every day and choosing life. And I go out and I take a walk. I move my body. I listen to music. I read poetry. I watch films, of course, and I read books. And I talk to my friends that I'm lucky to have. And I can only think about the immediate day that I am in. I can't think beyond that right now. I'm trying to reclaim my life force. I don't want to just stay alive. I don't want to just survive. I want to actually feel alive. And so Kiki's delivery service like taps into that life force, that energy, that purpose, that inner spark. Like it connects me with that. It connects me to my own magic, my own life force that feels very dim at times and felt like it was completely extinguished the last 5.5 years. And then, of course, when my mother died, I really shouldn't even be here right now. Like, I don't even know how I'm putting one foot in front of the other. I don't know, like, the mysterious force that is keeping me going. It must be magic. It must be something inside me that I don't even know. Like, how am I here? How am I here? I really feel like my father's death should have been the end of me, but it wasn't. And I kept going for all these years, and she kept me going, and then I lost her too. And maybe it's like I've lost everything, and I can't lose my magic too. I can't lose my voice. That's also why I'm still recording these episodes, because I refuse. I refuse to be destroyed. I refuse for life to take everything from me. It will not take my voice. It will not. It will not take that inner flame and that fire inside of me and that passion inside of me. I am still alive. I am still here. And as long as I'm here, there's still possibility. And I tell myself that every day. I want to stay connected to my creativity and to my emotional and spiritual vitality, to that inner flame, and even that inner child. I think Kiki reminds us of the child that we were. She reminds me of the girl that I was. And so, in a way, like watching this film, talking about it, it's like an act of resistance against despair. That's what I'm trying to do. Like, this film wasn't just soothing or comforting, it was animating for me. It was life affirming. It reminded me of the magic that is still inside me. It may be flickering, it may not always be very strong, but it is there. And it reminds me that I am here and I am alive and life is still possible for me, even though I have lost everything. Everything, truly. It's not just about my magic, it's about my creativity that I'm trying to keep alive. I'm trying to keep it alive through this podcast. These episodes are a creative outlet for me. Kiki is trying to keep her magic alive and reconnect with it, and I'm doing the same thing. In the end, I think she learns that her magic can't be destroyed. I think she learns that it's always there. It may get buried, it may dim and diminish for a period of time for whatever reason, but it is always there inside her. It doesn't belong to anybody else, and it's not connected to anyone else. It is something that she has created and that belongs solely to her, and that she has the power to summon it and to bring it back to life. For me, that's what this podcast is about. I had to step away from it for a while, for years, like I said, from 2021 until about now, pretty much. So about 4 years. And I'm just now starting to make regular episodes. And I guess like I did lose my magic, or I lost access to it or contact with it. And I had to step away. I think also what Miyazaki does in this film is that he also shows that the challenges at times that we go through are necessary for our maturation and for our self actualization. It matters how we respond to those challenges. And in the past, I did not respond to challenges well. I struggled for a really long time in my life through my teens and my 20s. I went toward self destruction. I responded to my father's death by not really knowing how to live or how to navigate the world. I feel like I was sleepwalking. I was very cut off from life. I was cut off from myself and from my intuition. And I think it's interesting that she's a witch in this film because I don't identify as a witch, but I really love feminist spirituality and paganism and goddess worship, like prehistoric goddess worship. I love tarot and things like that. So I'm not Wicca, I'm not a witch or anything like that. I don't identify with that label, but I have a spirituality that is, I guess, somewhat similar. It's connected to the seasons, to nature, to intuition. And I didn't have that for a very long time. I was like nihilistic. I couldn't find a connection to life. I couldn't find something to believe in. And the thing about like witchcraft or maybe the occult or this kind of like pagan spirituality is that it's not actually about believing in some god or force that is external from you. It's actually about believing in your own power, your own intuition, and your own magic. And I think that's why it's become more popular is like when you pull a tarot card, for me, it's about connecting to how I interpret it and what I think of it. And so I think when you connect to this kind of pagan spirituality or even witchcraft, it directs you back to the source, which is yourself. It is your own soul and your own spirit, your own creativity and your own intuition and your own power. And I think that's what Kiki is discovering throughout the film is that she is stronger than she knows. She has so much magic inside her. That's a very beautiful message that is communicated to us. And I think after my father died, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think that I was strong. I didn't think I was worth anything. I didn't listen to my inner voice. I didn't listen to my desires or my feelings or my sensitivities. I wanted to numb all of it. I didn't want to listen to it, right? But I think my soul was trying to tell me things for a very long time, and I just wouldn't listen. I would just numb myself or I would drown it out. I think the last few years, being a caregiver for my mother, which required a strength inside me that I didn't know was even there. And then everything that I had to do to take care of her in her last month or so alive, because I took care of her when she was in hospice, and I was there with her in her final moments when she took her last breath. The strength that I had to find within myself takes my breath away. That I can't believe I survived it and I can't believe I did it, but I was there for her and I did it. I was able to do it because of her love and because of her strength. But what I discovered through this whole experience, the last 5.5 years, right, is that I am more than this world can ever comprehend. The love and the beauty and the magic and the power inside me is more than this world can ever comprehend. My worth is in nobody else's hands, and nobody can ever take away my magic and my power. Nobody can make me feel small, and nothing can destroy me. If I can sit beside my mother as she takes her last breath, which was unthinkable to me years ago, I thought that I would die if I ever had to go through something like that. I thought it would be the end of me, but it wasn't. I'm still here. I am still standing after that. And I think what I've discovered inside myself is so powerful that at times I don't even know how to talk about it. But it is what keeps me alive and propels me. And it comes from her. It comes from my mother and my father. It comes from the love that they gave me. That's what I have inherited, I guess. I let people make me feel so small for much of my life. I let them make me feel like I was nothing. This world treated me like I was nothing and I was invisible. And I believed it for a very long time. And I think what Kiki reminds us of is to not believe any of it, is that we have to be our greatest champions. We have to. And we have to connect with that magic inside of ourselves. And I think that that's what she learns. But she doesn't do it alone. I don't think we can make it through life alone. We have to have other people who support us and embrace us and witness us, of course. That makes a huge difference. But some of us have to find it inside ourselves. Nobody could go where I went. I went into the darkness as my mother was dying, and I had to be there with her. Nobody could do that for me. I had to do it. And I found what I was made of, and I did it. I was there. I know that I am powerful, and I know that I'm strong, and that's how I keep going. And Kiki learns that about herself as well, that she is so much stronger and braver and more powerful than she ever knew. And that was the whole point. That was the whole point of leaving home. And so with this podcast, I'm returning to this space. I'm bringing my heart and my soul back to it. I'm trying to show up authentically and truthfully as who I am now. The challenges I went through, just like Kiki, they've made me who I am. They have changed me. They have made me grow up, made me deepen, made me mature. These things have transformed me. And I'm trying to come back to this space again and I guess share some of that, share what I've learned, share what I've been through. I don't know if people will like it. I don't know if they'll like me. I think a lot of people don't even listen anymore, but that's okay. I still have things to say, and I have to believe that my voice matters. Kiki reminds me of that. The challenges, they make us more of who we are, not less. And you have to live all the fullness of life, including the pain and the doubt. And that's what Kiki goes through. There's a lot of joy in this film, but then there's also the depression and the self doubt and the insecurity and the loss of her magic near the end. She has to live it all. What I've decided with this podcast is that this is the container for my magic. This is my life's work. This is where I choose to share myself with others. And I hope that it makes a difference. This is where I want to talk about art and life. I want to talk about what saves me, and that is film. And that is all forms of art save me every day, along with my friendships, of course. Art is what I will live for. Art and love and connection are what I will live for now that I've lost everything else. I truly believe that I found Studio Ghibli at the right time in my life. I am glad that I watched these films in my 30s. And I think that the Studio Ghibli catalog, it resonates differently at different ages or different phases of your life. I believe that if I had seen Kiki's Delivery Service in my 20s, I think it would have affected me in a different way than it does in my 30s. I think if I had found this film when I was younger, it would have definitely connected with the part of me that was thinking about who do I want to be? right? Like thinking about the future, thinking about something more aspirational. Whereas in my 30s, when I watch it, it's more of a reflection of like who I am right now and what I am still in the process of becoming. I see like that in Ursula. I think I connect more to Ursula now than I would have in my 20s. I can see how this film probably grows with you. Like if you see it as a child, you probably see yourself in Kiki and connect to her, and you're on that journey of a young heroine. And then maybe if you're older, if you're in your late 20s, your 30s, maybe Ursula comes into the picture a bit more and thinking about her life as an artist, as a painter, as a woman who's very independent and on her own unique path. I love her as a character, and I'll definitely be digging into her more as I go. Kiki as well, like, she does remind me of the girl that I was. I do believe that in order for us to live fully as an adult, we do need to stay connected to the child we once were. And so I think it's good, no matter what age we are, to watch films like Kiki's Delivery Service, either to revisit films that we loved as a child or to even watch films about children as we get older. Because that inner child, that child that we were, it never leaves. And I believe that I have to remember and honor and stay true to that girl that I was. I think about that a lot. I think that's really important. And I think this film sort of helped me unearth that childlike wonder and that magic that is in me. At the same time, I also think the film does such a great job of showing women from all stages of life. You have 13-year-old Kiki, you have Osono, who she lives with in Kariko. You have Ursula, who I'm thinking Ursula is like late 20s, around the 30s. And then you have the elderly women, even the grandmother with the pie. It's such a beautiful film in that way of like intergenerational connection and friendship between women of all ages. It hit me at such an important time. I mean, particularly after losing my own mother, these women have such a maternal quality to them. Like, yes, there's Osono who's literally pregnant, but then I feel like Ursula is maternal in the way that she offers connection and care to Kiki, and it's almost like a mentorship, but the both of them affect each other. Kiki inspires her with her art, and then Ursula inspires Kiki. It's like this give and take, and I really love that. And with Ursula, seeing her now, I'm 36. To me, Ursula is like a model. She's like an inspiration for me because I am on a path that is more solitary. Like I said, I don't have a partner, I don't have children. I don't intend to have those things either. Will never have children. I mean, I'm already 36. It's not something that I have ever wanted to do for the most part. When it comes to a partner, I've never actually been in a relationship before, and I've never dated, and I have a lot of like pain when it comes to men and rejection and invisibility and not being treated well by them. I have pretty much decided that I don't think that my life is going to go in that direction of being with somebody in that way. It's a painful subject for me. I've talked about it in other episodes. Of course, I want to love and be loved in that way. But if it's not in the cards for me, it's not something that I'm going to force. I'm open to connection, but it's not something that has organically unfolded in my life. And so I'm pretty much coming to terms with the fact that I'm going to live outside of these traditional structures. That, like Ursula, I'm going to have to carve my own path. And so Ursula is somebody that I really aspire to. She's sovereign. She's sovereign in her creativity. And I feel like her art almost has like a spiritual dimension to it. And I'll talk about that painting in a little bit that she creates. There's something almost spiritual about that painting. and she lives for herself, and she offers her love and her care to Kiki. I just want to now go through the film. I want to talk about certain scenes and just share my thoughts and feelings about all the different things in this film. I feel like I could go on forever about it. As I was watching it, I just was filled with so much emotion and delight and just pure enjoyment. It is a beautiful, special film. So I went through, like I said earlier, I went through the catalog of Studio Ghibli and I watched all of the films. And my top was My Neighbor Totoro. That's my number one favorite Studio Ghibli. But Kiki's Delivery Service is in the top three. I would say My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Only Yesterday would be my top three right now. But I love all of them for the most part for different reasons. I'm really happy that I can do an episode about these films and talk about what Studio Ghibli gives to me and kind of give maybe a different perspective about it because some people or a lot of people do grow up with Studio Ghibli from the time that they're kids or they're teenagers. Whereas this was something that I discovered when I was in my 30s. And that is when I went into this catalog. I don't know if that happens for everybody. And so I can kind of give this perspective of being a fully grown adult and connecting with these films. At the beginning of the film, Kiki is 13. She has to go away for a year to train as a witch. This is also the reason why I decided to talk about this film because she's going through an initiation and she's having to separate from her parents. She's having to go out into the world by herself. And that is something that resonates with me very deeply in my life right now. That I am alone. I am alone in the world, and I have to find a way to navigate this world without my parents. It's not exactly the same as what's happening in the film, but there's a separation taking place. There's a young girl having to say goodbye to everything that she has known, to life as she knew it. Say goodbye to her house, her belongings, and all she's got is that broom and Gigi, and she's off to a new town, a new world, a new life where she has to survive it on her own. She doesn't have her parents to fall back on. That's just a very resonant thing for me right now. And I was very moved at the beginning of the film. I was already crying because I always cry when I'm watching stuff. Her being with her father, and hugging him. And something that I noticed with this rewatch is that her mother's broom is really important at the beginning of the film. It's chosen over the broom that Kiki made. She takes her mother's broom. This is a moment when maternal wisdom is being passed down. A mother is giving something very valuable to her daughter, and Kiki is inheriting this broom that she will fly on and she will navigate the world with. And so, from the very beginning of this film, it is deeply female centered. I don't know if I would use the word feminist, but it feels like a feminist film to me. The way that it centers women, the way that it celebrates women's wisdom and knowledge, it doesn't make women into stereotypes. And Miyazaki, I know everybody, says this, but he has superb female characters in his films. It is quite rare to come across a male director like this who represents women and girls in such a beautiful, inspiring, but multi-dimensional way. It's something that just is life-giving for me personally. I love how female-centered this film is. The mother is passing down something to Kiki in that broom. Kiki is part of a lineage. As a witch, she is part of this lineage of women because witches are very frightening in their power because it is a body of knowledge that is created by women. It's knowledge that's passed down between women. And that's what also makes it very dangerous and threatening. But Miyazaki does such a great job of not representing witchcraft or witches as something like scary or evil or like a caricature or stereotype. He really taps into how it is about centering women and women's knowledge and women's wisdom. I love that. Kiki gets this guidance and love from her mother, and that's how I feel about my own mother, is that she's gone now, but she gave me her love and her own knowledge and her wisdom. She always had a great intuition. I think she taught me that, to trust myself and to trust my instincts. And that's something that I've been trying to get better at the last few years. She loved me and she believed in me. She was always my cheerleader, always my champion, and she loved me unconditionally. What I have to do now that she's gone is that I have to give that love to myself. I have to believe in myself. I have to believe in my voice and in my magic. I have to do all that. I have to be everything to myself now. I have to be my own mother. And Kiki is going out on her own, and she has to rely on herself. She has to rely on her inner reserves, her inner self, and her own knowledge and intuition. So I love that. I love when she takes that broom. And I love how this film shows women supporting women. So Kiki leaves home, and she's got her mother's broom and she's got Gigi, and she goes to this new town and meets Osono, this woman who's pregnant and has her own like bakery and stuff like that. And I really love this town of Koriko. It's quaint, it's cozy, it's beautiful, and it feels like a dream. It's just this dreamy little town, right? I think of all the Studio Ghibli films, this is like my favorite town. This is my favorite world that is built in the Studio Ghibli universe. Maybe second to it would be The Secret Life of Arrietty, right? Like, I love that house and that cottage and all of that. But Kiki's Delivery Service, that's where I would want to live. It's my absolute dream place. And I love the bakery. I love the townspeople. The town has like this uplifting, hopeful feeling about it. Like, it just makes your heart feel so light when you see it. This is a place where you would want to go, where you would want to belong. It's gentle and it's welcoming, and there's this sense of community about it. It feels like everybody has a place, including Kiki, right? Like, when she goes there, even though she's thrust out on her own, she's welcomed. She's not just like the little match girl where she's like on the ground and alone and abandoned and has to starve or something like that. The townspeople embrace her and are open to her instead of shunning her. So it's the kind of city where you just want to like live. You want to move there yourself. Something that I also love is that when Kiki gets to the city, the way that she becomes part of it and sort of ingratiates herself is through acts of service. When she first gets there, instead of Osono having to take the delivery, the pacifier, right? Kiki offers to do that for her. And so she does this act of kindness for Osono. And so she helps people. She wants to help people. In return, they want to help her as well. They take her in. She wants to be of service. She wants to be useful and needed. I think that's a really beautiful message in the film. She's in this new town, and her instinct is to help and to be there for others. And I think she also desires a sense of belonging. That's what she wants. It's not just about, oh, I have to be away from my parents for a year and learn how to be a witch. She wants to find her place in the world. She wants to find what she's meant to be doing in life. And she wants to feel a sense of belonging. And I think that's what all of us want, or many of us want. We want to feel like we belong. We want to feel like there's a place for us in this world. I think it's very important that she receives support, that she's not excluded or shunned, but taken in. People help her. They're kind. They're generous. She's not totally alone in the world. And I think when you watch a film like this, like we live in a time where it feels like that's gone or evaporating, that sense of community, that sense of kindness and gentleness toward each other. I mean, I know myself, my own experiences, I have not felt embraced by other people. I haven't felt supported by other people. Even now that I am going through the worst experience of my life, I haven't felt cared for or supported by people. I don't have a family that cares about me. I've been estranged from both my mother and my father's families. None of them care what I'm going through. I have encountered this coldness from people. I've even had it happen online. I do have some very close friends, thankfully, that have helped me and continue to help me through this experience. But unfortunately, I've not known what it's like to have some kind of outpouring or showering of support at a time when I needed it the most. It was very comforting, I guess, or healing to see Kiki going through these different periods of her life, like after she loses her magic or when she first goes to the town, and she's supported. Like, people are there for her and they want to be kind to her. A lot of that comes through female community. It comes from other women. Ursula, Osono, the grandmother, and it's women who are caring for her, women who are supporting her, who are being mentors, right? And but it's not a one-way street. It's not just that they're helping Kiki. Kiki's helping them. It's interconnected. It's not just one way. The mentorship in particular between her and Ursula is reciprocal, right? When these older women see a young girl like Kiki, they're reminded of who they were. And that connection that they feel with Kiki can rekindle their own passion, their own purpose. It's a two-way street, which is like really beautiful, you know, because I think there can be this tendency to have this idea that women are in competition with each other, that older women are jealous of younger women. Now that I'm 36, I would be, I'm older. I'm not old. I'm not elderly, right? But I am older than somebody who's 20. I have a lot more life experience and I am in a totally different phase of my life than a 13-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old. When I see a young girl, I don't feel jealousy for her. I know things that she probably doesn't. Sometimes I will see young women making choices that I wouldn't make or doing things that I know when she's my age, she will look at it differently. She will see it differently. I think I'm very protective of younger women. And that is not to infantilize them or to make them into children or anything like that. But there are things about this world and about men that you don't fully understand until you're in your 30s or your 40s. There will be a shift. Most women, as they get into their 30s, there will be things that you will realize, that you will come to understand, and you will look back at who you were in your teens and your 20s, and there will be anger, and you will see the world differently. It's actually harder as you get older as a woman, and particularly if you're a feminist and you care about other women and you care about girls in this world, you will get more angry and you will have a different view of men, most likely as well. It's a very difficult, painful process to go through, but there is freedom, I think, on the other side of it, because a lot of young women are conditioned to please men, to make their lives revolve around men. And there's a lot of trauma and damage that happens because of that. That's why I think a film like this is even more important, is that it shows a young girl who is fiery and passionate and who is making it on her own and who is magical and powerful and beautiful because of who she is. And her life is not about Tombo. It's not about boys or anything like that. And it's the same for Ursula. She's living her life connected to art and in her cabin and connected to herself. She's creating. She's not living for men or something like that. She's realizing her own vision. Ursula is not jealous of Kiki. Like, women, those of us who are in our 30s or up, I'm not jealous of younger women. There's no reason to be. I like being 36. I like having wisdom and knowledge. When I was 20, I hated myself. When I was 20, I was still in the depths of grief and darkness over my father's death, and I didn't know if I would live to 30. I didn't know if I would survive to 30. I'm so grateful to be in my 30s. I'm so grateful to be here. I get so sick of this like rhetoric about youth and aging, and I'm not my age. I'm me. I'm not like, I just get so tired. Like, I'm not my body. I'm not my hair color. I'm not my skin or what it looks like. I am not an object for men to decide what my value and my worth is. I'm a person and I'm not my age or my looks. I am me. I am my own unique, magical, beautiful self. I am my thoughts and feelings and passions. I am, I'm a soul. I'm a spirit. And we get so obsessed with all that stuff, don't we? And I think as I hope more women as they get older, like there's a freedom that comes with this. I mean, I've been invisible my whole life. Like I said, men have never wanted me. They've never paid any attention to me. And I know that in a lot of ways that was a blessing. They just left me the hell alone, thank God. And I could write and read, be in my own little dream world, and I didn't have to worry about them. But the world is still controlled and dominated by them, unfortunately. You can never fully escape it, the patriarchal aspect of the world. So we need more stories like this of women loving and caring and supporting each other no matter their age. Ursula is protective of Kiki and she is caring and loving toward Kiki. The women are not in competition in this film. They are there for each other and supportive of each other and like maternal. And that's really beautiful to me. And that's what I want to be. Like Ursula also reminded me, like, maybe I want to be that to other women. I mean, not that I'm some aspirational figure. I'm not the kind of woman that other women want to be necessarily. I've just been through a lot. I'm not beautiful. I'm not accomplished or something like that. But I hope that if younger women follow me or younger women listen to these episodes, I hope that my voice gives them something. And I hope that they know that they are lovable and that they are worth knowing and that they are so powerful and magical and special and unique. And they are so sacred and precious. And to never let anybody convince them otherwise. Because when I was young, I bought into all that I'm ugly and I'm worthless because I was fat and I'm still fat. I like let people make me feel horrible about it and to like make me feel like I was nothing and make me feel that I was unlovable, and I'm still having to fight all that and unpack it. But I wish that I had believed in myself more. I wish that I could have loved myself more when I was younger, but I couldn't. I didn't know how, and I didn't have the tools. But I hope that younger women, if they listen to me, I hope they cherish themselves always and listen to themselves and affirm their own value, irrespective of what any man or anybody thinks about them. And that's how I'm trying to live my life, because my mother's death has really like forced me to think about, how do I want to live my life? What do I want to contribute? And I think Ursula is a really great figure for this too. Maybe inspires Kiki with that a little bit. Is like Ursula is a model of what life could be like and what is possible. That you can be creative, you can realize your vision, because Ursula's magic is her art and her painting. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. She demonstrates to Kiki what that like you don't need a man. You don't need to have some conventional life. You can be in a cabin in the woods creating the most gorgeous art. Like that painting, I want that. Like I want that painting on my wall, or I want it on a journal, or I want it somewhere in my room, and I want to look at it every day. Like, look what this woman created. I mean, she she's not real. And the painting was created by some children and used in the film, but in the story, she's this creative being. She shows Kiki what's possible. That you don't if you don't want that conventional life, that's okay. If you do, that's okay as well. There's nothing wrong with I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever be in a relationship if you want to be, or you shouldn't fall in love, or you shouldn't get married and have children. I'm not saying that. I'm saying my life is not going down that path. We have a lot of pressure on us as women to go down that path, that you are not worthy, or you're not important, or you don't matter if you don't have all of that, or you don't go down that road. And Ursula is such a beautiful figure of what is possible outside of those conventions. Ursula believes in Kiki, right? Like these women in Kiki's life believe in her. And I think that is one of the most powerful things that you can give anybody, but particularly a child, is to believe in them. I feel like I didn't have that the way that I needed it in my life. My parents loved me and believed in me, but I didn't have more of that. I didn't have like people in my life really building me up the way that I needed. The fact that Ursula and other people believe in Kiki, it helps her believe in herself. It helps her trust herself and to know what she's capable of, and to really believe in her abilities. Like we need that self belief. And when we don't have it, it's kind of hard. It's hard to like survive in the world. Sometimes you just have to you have to believe in yourself even when nobody else does. I started this podcast in 2016 and I just did it. I didn't have anybody tell me, well, you should make a film podcast. I just did it. And even now, it's very small. It doesn't get much attention, it doesn't get many downloads. And I have just continued to do it. Like, I have to believe in myself. I have to show up for myself every day. But I do think that it's very powerful when other people believe in you from an early age. And it gives you that confidence. And you see that with Kiki, that she has that belief in herself for a while until her magic starts to dim. But then it's, Ursula comes in and sort of helps her save herself. And sometimes it can be hard to believe in ourselves when we're an outsider, when we feel like we're very different from other people. And Kiki kind of goes through that. I also think this is why this film resonates with people so much, is because she's an outsider and she's a misfit and she's different because she's a witch. We see this most clearly with Tombo and with his friends. Like there's that scene where his friends come around and they're like the cool kids and they're kind of stuck up. And Kiki doesn't fit in with them. She's not dressed like them. She doesn't fit in their world. Her identity as a witch makes her different. And I think making her a witch is what inspires other people to identify with her, because they might know what it's like to be shunned or to feel like they don't really belong anywhere. She's the one who can fly. Her flying sets her apart. Nobody else in the town can fly the way that Kiki can. And even though there's not like persecution against her or anything like that because she's a witch, she's still marked as different, right? Like when you are different or something like sets you apart, there's an isolation that can come with that. And I wonder if that maybe contributes to her magic starting to diminish. I think she just starts to lose faith in herself. A lot has been asked of her, to leave her family, to leave her home, to leave everything that she's known, and to go into this place that she's never been before with people she doesn't know. And at first, it's fun. At first, it's this adventure. But then as time goes on, it starts to wear on her, the experience. Her magic starts to wane. She gets to this point where she can't fly anymore. She can't do the deliveries. And she goes through this period of self doubt and exhaustion and losing faith in herself. It really is her lowest point in the film. It is at this very moment, this vulnerable moment of Kiki's life, that Ursula reappears. She's in town and she comes to get Kiki. It's almost like Ursula can sense that something's happening. Like there's something very like intuitive about Ursula, I think, and it's like she can sense that something's happening to Kiki. I don't want to say that she's there to like save the day or something like that, or that she saves Kiki, but she helps Kiki save herself, like I said earlier. Kiki goes with Ursula to her cabin, goes back to the cabin in the woods. This is a safe space for Kiki. It's this refuge, it's this haven where she can go. It's a kind of solitude that is regenerative and nourishing. Because if you think about it, she's been in the town for a little while, she's been surrounded by people, but in the cabin in the woods, it's just her and Ursula. It's isolated and it's a solitude that allows her to reconnect with herself. And that's why Ursula is probably in that cabin, is that she needs that solitude to hear her own inner voice and what it's telling her to create. And so I want to talk about this painting. I think it is absolutely stunning, and I did some research about it. So it shows this Pegasus horse, and then we see Kiki's own face is in the painting because Ursula was inspired by Kiki. And I think this is such a beautiful aspect of the film, is that she includes Kiki in her art. And like how beautiful is that? Like how inspiring, and like imagine if someone came to you and was like, I put you in one of my paintings. It's like being written about. It's like if somebody put you in a poem or put you in a story or a novel. It's so flattering, isn't it? And it mirrors back to Kiki, like you have value. You are magical. You are inspiring, right? Like you made such an impression on me that you inspired me with this painting and I had to put your face in it. Like how beautiful is that? And Kiki is like so like anybody would be. Kiki is stunned by this painting. She's standing in front of it and she can't believe what she's looking at, and that somebody thought that she was special enough to be put in a painting. And I've always believed that like sometimes we can't see ourselves fully, that sometimes it does take seeing ourselves through the eyes of someone else. I don't know if I will ever love myself as much as my mother loved me. What she saw, like she saw me in a way that I will never be able to see myself. I mean, she loved me so much. Like sometimes I really sit with that, like particularly on the hard days when I can barely get out of bed because I'm so broken and so annihilated by her death. And I just think about how much this woman loved me and how she saw me through the eyes of that love. That when she saw me, she just saw love and that I was her world. I am trying to like carry that with me into my life now, of like somebody loved you this much. You are lovable. You have been loved. How do I keep that love inside me? How do I honor that love? And how do I honor her with my life? But sometimes we can't see ourselves through love. We have to like be open to somebody else loving us or seeing our potential or seeing the possibility within us or seeing our value that we can't always access. And I've had that happen through this podcast at times or even through my friendships. You know, like when my friends have been so kind to me or have shown up for me or shown me care and all of that, it's like I can't believe it. Sometimes I just can't believe, like, wow, these people care about me so much. And sometimes I've gotten messages from people who have listened to this podcast, and I've just been amazed. I've just thought, wow, I can't believe that me making these episodes or me saying some of these things and sharing my thoughts, my emotions, my life story, my challenges that I've had to deal with and overcome. Can't believe the effect that that's had on people. And that people, when they see me or when they listen to me, that they think that I have value or they care about me. Like, it's still hard for me to believe that, but it kind of like mirrors back my own worth. And it has been an important part of my journey for me to feel like I have value. And so I feel like when Kiki is looking at that painting, she's seeing her effect on another person, that she inspired Ursula to paint this, and that Ursula put her front and center in the painting. And so I wanted to do some research about this. It reminds me of a Marc Chagall. A lot of people have talked about that the style looks like Marc Chagall. But in fact, it is a real painting, or it was a real painting. I got a little bit of like conflicting information when I did research. The credits of the film say that the painting is called Ship Flying Over the Rainbow, and that it was painted by the students of Minato Junior High School handicapped children's class. That is what is in the credits. So there's that, and then there's this YouTube channel called Discover Ghibli, and I will link to his video in the show notes of this episode. And he has a really wonderful little video. It's like 8 or 10 minutes. He looked at sources that were actually from Japan. So books that were written in Japan and are in Japanese. In his video, he says that the painting was made by 13 students at a junior high. That must be what the credits are referring to, the junior high school with the handicapped children. But he gave a different title for the painting, and he said that it was called Pegasus and a Bull Fly Through the Starry Sky. So I don't know if like the translation is different, but the credits say ship flying over the rainbow. And then he said it's Pegasus and a bull fly through the starry sky. It was originally in black and white, but then Miyazaki, when he saw it and decided he wanted to put it in the film, he added all that color to it. And I love the blue that he added to it. I love those colors. And he also altered the painting by adding Kiki's face. And the bottom of the painting, he added the woods where Ursula's cabin is. And if you look closely, there's a woman on one of the cabins. And I guess that's supposed to be Ursula. And so there's a Pegasus, there's a bull, there's crows, there's the moon. There are all kinds of images and symbols in the painting. And it's not really clear what all of it means. There could be astrological meanings to it. There might be more stuff out there about it. I didn't want to like dissect the painting to death or anything like that. I think everybody who sees it will have a different interpretation or a different way that they feel about it. I think it's very telling that there's the Pegasus, there's the horse with the wings, and then with Kiki, she flies. And so I think it's really beautiful that this painting shows a flying horse. It shows Kiki, Kiki's face with the Pegasus in the sky. And I think it really speaks to the freedom that Kiki has when she flies. And I don't think it's any coincidence that once she sees this painting, she reconnects with her ability to fly. And so I think the painting reminds her of her own ability and her own passion. My favorite scene of the entire film is when Kiki and Ursula are in the cabin that night together and they're talking. And we get a deeper sense of Ursula and her own story. And she talks about when she was Kiki's age, that was when she knew that she wanted to be a painter. But she went through this time where she couldn't paint, where she had like lost the ability and she felt like her spirit had vanished. And then she tells Kiki that Kiki needs to find her spirit again. She needs to find her inspiration. And this is a true turning point in the film. I love how Ursula talks about inspiration and spirit. She talks about creativity as something that comes from within, from a spiritual place, I guess you could say. It's a place that we don't fully understand, and it's something very mysterious. Like Ursula, when I was Kiki's age, my big passion was writing. It wasn't painting, but it was writing. It was an artistic form that I deeply connected to. And I saw myself as a writer, and I loved to write, and I loved to read books. I'm sure I was probably around that age when I first read Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. And that was such a formative book for me. And I'll never forget some of the things that he writes in there. And that book was like really important to me, really shaped me as a person. And I knew that I wanted to be a writer. I knew that I wanted to be creatively fulfilled, that I needed to express all the things that were inside of me. That's what writing was about for me at that age. And I guess it still is that I felt like I had so much inside me. I had so many thoughts and passions and ideas, and I guess that was the life force that was inside me from a really early age. Or I guess that was like my magic. And I felt like I had all these things to share, but I was very lonely, and I never had like friends. I never had people to like share myself with or open up to. People who wanted to know me in a really deep way and wanted to know my dreams or my thoughts or my feelings. And so I would write it. I would write in my journal, and that's how I would express myself. That's how I would take everything that was inside me and express it and release it. I feel like this podcast has also been a way for me to share everything that's inside me. And so I love when Ursula talks about that like you have to find your spirit again. You have to find your inspiration, what inspires you. I feel like right now I'm walking through my life and I don't know who I am. I don't know why I'm here or what I'm doing or if my voice even matters. Everything's gone. Life as I knew it is gone and over. I have a lot of doubts. I have a lot of insecurities right now that I'm trying to like push through. And I feel like I have to be like Kiki and Ursula. I have to find my inspiration. I have to find find my spirit again. And that's why I feel like I watched this film at the perfect time because Kiki reminds me of the girl I was, and Ursula shows me the woman who I want to be, truly. And the scene of them talking to each other, I just love also how Ursula takes Kiki seriously. She doesn't look down on Kiki. She doesn't say to Kiki, she doesn't say like platitudes or cliches like, "Oh, you're just 13. What do you know about life?" You know how people can be with young people. And yeah, it's true. Like very young people, you will not realize it until you're in your 30s and 40s. When you look at people who are 15 or 20, they don't know a lot about life. They are so young. Like you don't even realize how young you were when you were 15 until you get older and you're like, "Oh my god, I was a baby." I was a baby at 15 and 16 years old. I knew nothing about life, but children do know about life, and they do have their own thoughts and their own perspective that is worthwhile and that is valuable. Ursula doesn't talk down to Kiki. She meets Kiki where she is, and they talk to each other like people, and they learn from each other. And this scene is just such a beautiful scene of connection. It's a scene about artistic creation, about the magic within us. It's about creativity. With Ursula, it's painting. With Kiki, it's her magic. Because witchcraft is a kind of creativity, right? It's like using the power within you to affect your own reality, to transform your life and your own reality. So they're really talking about creativity and creating how they want, like what they want to offer to the world, who they want to be. And it's an important scene for anybody who feels disconnected from themselves, from their spirit, from their voice, from whatever they want to create. And when we feel like we've lost our gifts, and it reminds us that they're still there. And what was so powerful about this scene is that it reminded me why art itself is so important. Because if I had not watched Kiki's delivery service, I would not have felt everything that I felt. Like when I was watching this film, a lot of stuff crystallized for me where I was like, I'm going to continue doing this podcast. I'm going to continue creating. I'm going to continue sharing my voice. I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to be devoted so deeply to myself and to my life. That's what I felt when I was watching this film. It did not just reconnect me to myself, it urged me to recommit to life and to my own vision, my own creative vision, and my own creative offering to the world. And it reminded me that it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile to share something with the world. Because the thing is I could watch these films and I could stay silent and not engage with the world. Because I tell you, at times I want to just retreat. I want to retreat. I want to be in my cocoon. I want to isolate myself. I want to delete all of my social media and cut the world out. But this film reminded me that it is worthwhile to contribute something to the world and to offer something to the world, that it is important and it is necessary. And you don't know who it could affect or who it could touch. And you have the obligation to share your gifts with the world. All of us do, because you don't know the ripple effect that it could have. And the world is lesser. It is deprived. It is lesser. It is impoverished when it is deprived of your gifts and what you can offer it. This film gave me so much. Like I said, it was nourishing. And it's why film is important. It's why art is important. It gives us this space to talk about things and to think about things that we would not normally have talked about or thought about. Like Kiki, I am trying to excavate that magic within me to remember why I'm here. I mean, isn't that really what Kiki is doing when she goes away for this year of training as a witch? She's trying to realize, why am I here? Why am I here in this life? Why am I on this earth? And the only way she can really figure that out is to go through some challenges. And maybe the only way she finds the value of what's inside her is when she thinks that she's lost it. But of course, she discovers that it isn't lost. It is never lost. All these years, I wasn't doing this podcast, but the magic was still there. My voice was still there, and it was never gone. The magic is never gone. It's not. It gets buried under a lot. Sometimes it gets buried under cement, under rock, and you have to break through it. I will never forget Fiona Apple talking about her album, Fetch the Bolt Cutters. And she said that she was watching an episode of The Fall. And in it, Gillian Anderson, who plays like a detective, she needs to get into a room and she tells somebody, fetch the bolt cutters. That stayed with Fiona Apple, where she thought that is the perfect image. That is the perfect metaphor. Fetch the bolt cutters and get yourself out of whatever you are in. Whatever bondage, whatever room you are trapped in, find the bolt cutters and get yourself out. That's what we all will have to do. And we will have to do it multiple times in our lives. There will never come a time when you'll just be totally, everything will be perfect. It will happen multiple times in your life where you have got to find the bolt cutters and you've got to find a way to get the cement or the rock or whatever is burying that magic, whatever is draining you, whatever is killing your spirit or suffocating you or destroying your soul, whatever it is, you are going to have to find a way to rid yourself of it, right? Whatever is blocking your life force, you're going to have to find some method of removing it and reconnecting with what is inside you, with the deep power within you, with the part of you that wants to live, that wants to be alive, even at the darkest moments of your life, when you can't get out of bed, when you can't imagine taking one more step. you will have to find a way. And that's what I guess I'm going through right now. You have to find the magic again. And you have to never forget that it's there. It is there. I promise you it's there. And I hope maybe if somebody's listening to this and they're feeling in that dark place, because I'm in it too, I am in it, just know that the magic is still within you. It may not be easy to find it again. And it's so interesting to me that the way that she reconnects with that magic is through a crisis when the airship malfunctions, right? Or the blimp. I don't know what to call it. And she has to save Tombo. She has to save the day. She steps into her power, her sovereignty, her autonomy, and she becomes her own heroine. That's always the beautiful thing about Miyazaki's films and his female characters is that they become their own heroine. It's not about being saved by anybody else and being saved by a man. It's about saving themselves and being their own heroine. She saves the boy. She saves Tombo, right? It's this unexpected reversal. It's not the boy saving the girl, but the girl saving the boy. And I do think it sends a very powerful message, not just to girls, but to women of all ages. You don't need to be saved. You can be your own heroine. You can rise, you can act, and you can reclaim your strength. But in order to save him, she has to fly again. And what's interesting is that she no longer has her original broom. It's broken. So she grabs an ordinary broom, right? And she transforms it. And I think that there are two things about this final scene that stick with me the most. First of all, is how she transforms that ordinary broom. And it seems to be like this powerful metaphor that you don't always need the old tools or your old self in order to begin again. That you can let go of certain things. And in fact, maybe you need to let go of certain things so that you can fly again, so that you can rise again and rise into yourself. Because that broom was her mother's. It's also like this moment when Kiki steps into her own. The broom was important for a period of time. Her mother handed it down to her, but Kiki is her own person and she transforms whatever she touches. Her magic transforms that broom. So the broom changes or she transforms it. That's one thing. The second thing is that when she starts to fly, she's messy. She's weaving and veering and stumbling. She's kind of going off the rails at first, but she keeps going and eventually corrects. And that also says that returning to your magic, returning to yourself, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to look perfect. You might stumble at first. Just like when animals come out of the womb, like think about the giraffe and like their legs are going everywhere and it's like really unstable and it takes a while. It takes a few tries before they get up on their legs and can stand on their own, but they eventually do. Sometimes it's not going to look perfect. Sometimes it's going to be messy when you try to get back up. You might be clumsy, you might be uncertain, but you have to keep going. That's how I felt with this podcast a bit, is like kind of rusty because for years I didn't do it. And then now I'm trying to do these episodes again, or I'm trying to share again. I'm trying to like re-enter the world a little bit. Or I'm trying to stay connected with the world through these episodes. And I wonder, oh, am I rambling? Are they too long? Are they like rusty? Or and the thing is like it doesn't really matter. It's about the process. It's about showing up. It's about saying something, offering something, even if it is imperfect, but it's about honoring myself. And so sometimes the way back to yourself is messy, but it's still the way back. It's still what you have to do. And like you have to be brave at times. You have to be brave enough to make mistakes. You have to be brave enough to be imperfect. Kiki shows that. Like at first, she's just all over the place and then something locks in and she's back. She's back. And because of that depression, because of that sort of period of self doubt, she'll actually be even stronger now because she knows what she's made of, and she knows what's inside of her. And so I think that's incredibly beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I rewatched this film at the time that I did, and it was nourishing, and it gave me so much. And if you listened to this far, I appreciate it. I feel like I've said everything I can possibly say about this movie, and I really love it. So, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, keep watching great films.